Hi guys, I'm Patrick Knight. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Head of Client Services here at Jellyfish Connect. And Claire and I, as Carol has said, are just going to talk about our learnings from our products in 2017 and also some more tactical tips on how you guys can maximise your subscription sales. So as you may well know, and as Carol has said, we have two aggregate magazine sites, one which is predominantly print and one which is predominantly digital. Our print site is magazine.co.uk. It offers more than 800 titles from 180 publishers. We have about 3 million visits a year, and in the last 12 months we broke the 100,000 subscription barrier for the first time. In print subscriptions, anyone who knows what they want is going to come straight to the publisher because they know, and that's completely understandable. Our focus with magazine.co.uk is to capture everyone else. So we have three main types of site visitors. One is the first is the people who don't have any idea what to buy people, so people searching for gifts, and that plays out in our sales. So 55% of our orders are gifts, and that goes up to 83% at Christmas. The second group are deal hunters, so people just looking for the cheapest price on the internet. And the final lot are the people that are looking to try something new. So if you are listed on the site, and if you're not, why not? If you are listed on the site, I'd really recommend a trial or looking to get some extra exposure on the site with things like banners, because we do have an audience who don't necessarily know what they want yet. The site launched in 2011, at the end of 2011, and subscription volumes have grown steadily ever since. And this year, it's another 15% year-on-year growth, which is fantastic. And as Carol alluded to earlier, in most of the conversations we have with publishers, we are now the largest third-party provider of subscriptions, which is a really satisfying position to be in, given how competitive the landscape was even 2 years ago. And we really are at the forefront of acquisition. It's increasingly challenging every year to acquire new subscribers, and obviously we don't have renewals, so we're doing that every year. And so we're really trying lots of new things all the time, and the team will go through that later. We also have the digital side of our business, and our ecosystem comes from two areas. So one is Pocket Mags, which is our digital newsstand. It sells single issues and subscriptions, but the other is the Magazine Cloner platform, which does apps on iOS, Google Play, and also Amazon Newsstand. But we also have our reporting services, so we have data from non-app clients and also from other third-party newsstands. So the data I'll be talking about comes from the people that we do the apps for, and that's more than 1,600 titles globally from 600 publishers. We now have 400,000 subscriptions transacting through the system. Fortunately, we do have renewals on digital, so we do get the benefit of that every year, and 57% of that is overseas, so a truly international perspective. We have all the same types of users as magazine.co.uk, but obviously we get the benefit of renewals, so we get everyone coming back each year, which is fantastic for traffic, but also we are often the primary source of digital editions for publishers, so we will get direct sales as well. In terms of performance on digital, as anyone who saw my talk last year, amongst the inspirational monotone that is my former delivery, you will have heard my main takeaway, which was it's not all doom and gloom. So despite a really difficult year in 2015, when Apple canned newsstand and they changed the tiers and all the sales dropped, we actually forecast recovery in 2016, and that really has played out. And I'm really pleased to be able to say that in 2017 we actually project that we will go past our 2014 peak. And so whilst digital editions maybe haven't been the silver bullet that everyone hoped they would be, I think like many new technologies, they were presented as the saviour and maybe overhyped, and then they were prematurely written off, and now I think they're finding their level as a solid supplementary income to a parent product. Just to dig down into that data a bit, because obviously that doesn't really give you the full picture. This is a breakdown by platform, and what you can see is every platform has recovered since 2015, or has grown since 2015, but our real success story is Pocket Mags, and so we've seen 65% year-on-year growth consecutively for the last 2 years. And whilst that's testament to the fantastic work of the team and everything that we've done, I think it also reflects the industry trend of trying to push more direct sales, not only because people don't want to pay Apple 30% and Google 30%, but also just because the fragility that 2015 exposed when you realise how much of the portfolio is with Apple. And so that's been hugely satisfying for us. The other things that are interesting, you can't really see them here because they're such a small proportion, but Google and Amazon are both growing, but Amazon actually was in decline, and since they launched Amazon Newsstand, we've actually seen sales really jump, and that's going to US readers typically on Kindles, but they've also got quite a good strategy for the UK in the next year, so that's a really positive factor as well. So just quickly on the revenue mix, after 2015, the main focus for us and what we advised publishers was to shift things away from Apple so that we weren't quite so reliant, and shift it to platforms which you have more access to data, more flexibility of offers, and obviously ones where you earned higher revenue. And so from 2013, when 81% of our revenue came from Apple and only 7% on Pocket Mags, we're now at a point where we have 59% from Apple and 30% from Pocket Mags. And the way things are going, I would anticipate that in the next 18 months we'll be past 50%, we'll be below 50% on Apple, which is far sooner than we anticipated and really satisfying. And a number of our largest publishers who we work closely with have actually already passed the 50% mark for Pocket Mag sales, which is a great signal for the future. So we feel we have a really sort of positive story to tell on both the print and digital side. And so what I was going to quickly touch upon was just the areas that we have focused on in 2017. So one of the big successes has been email. I know everyone will be doing email, but we now send more campaigns than ever and more emails than ever, but we have higher open rates, higher click-through rates, and higher conversions than ever. And that just comes down to much more intelligent targeting, making sure we're going to engage users and making sure that we're relevant with our communication, so based on their interest, based on their propensity to buy, and much smaller, more accurate segments, and that's really played out in the numbers. And it's also a database that we regularly clean, which sets us up well for GDPR. And the other big thing, which I'm sure many people are benefiting from, is automation. So whilst we have automation in all of our marketing messages, which we do with .mailer, we've also built our own notification center on the digital editions. And so that means all of our welcome series, new issue notifications, and upsell series are all sent from the system automatically. This has only been going a year and it's already contributing 12% of the revenue on pocketmags.com. We anticipate that will be 20% by the end of next year, and that will continue to grow. But the other really positive impact has been the new issue notifications have seen a 43% boost in engagement. And we know that if people aren't reading their digital issues, they're more likely to lapse. So that's had a positive effect on churn. And just to give you an idea on the Upsell series, our conversion rate at the moment is about 9% after 3 emails, which is something which is good at the moment, but something we continue to hope to improve. And so the great results we're getting from Notification Center mean that it is a big focus for next year. So we'll be adding in more specific welcome series depending on what your touch point with the brand was, but also refining our lapse comms, that kind of stuff, but also moving it into the apps as well. So looking at automated push and also in-app inboxes, which is something that I believe Simon was mentioning as well. The next area is social, and I'm sure that we're having the same challenges as everyone in the sense that we can reach an audience, but it's very hard to get direct sales, and that has meant a change in strategy for us. So we previously were just posting up sales offers and not really getting much luck, and obviously as the platforms try and push you down the route where you're paying to boost everything, that became increasingly unaffordable. So we now are on Facebook, Twitter, and actually Pinterest increasingly is a really good driver of traffic, and we now mix things quite significantly between direct offers and engagement tools. So because of the breadth of the audience that we're talking about, we're literally giving it to every possible magazine, so the full spectrum of magazine readers. It's quite hard to be very specific each time, so we have to try new things. So a few of these have been topical content pieces, so things like listicles on the Bake Off or things around the Diana anniversary, but nostalgic issues, so classic covers or funny covers, and they've been brilliant for expanding our reach because obviously there's people who it's going to be a great memory for them. They might be a magazine fan, but they can share it to their friends, and then we get to reach them, which is brilliant. We've been testing live tweeting recently for the Bake Off. Haven't had any feedback yet on it, but I'm sure, like with anything, all the learnings will feed back into our strategy next year. And then finally, I think as Gemma mentioned earlier, competitions continue to be a great way to gain reach. Everyone loves something for free. So if you do have a free subscription that you'd like to give away, we'll happily do it on social, so please let us know. The next point, and I'm certainly not the most well-equipped man to speak about PPC in this room, but PPC is Jellyfish's heritage, and it forms a huge part of our marketing strategy. It's absolutely integral to magazine.co.uk because, as I say, we're building that audience every year. But we've never really had much success with it on Pocket Mags, and this year has been a real change, and so we've started to see a lot more revenue come through on search for Pocket Mags just by adding in category bidding. So we've added categories and subcategories to all of our AdWords account, and that's seen a 200% increase in traffic from paid search and an 800% increase in conversions. So whilst that's from a low base, Kate, we absolutely expect that every year moving forward. So please keep that up. But it's also essential that we are using all of the latest functions available, as we do on our campaign sites with our partners. So a few examples of that is our omni-channel approach, whereby we're using if functions in our adverts. So if someone has seen our Magfest email, display a message that relates to Magfest so that it's relevant. If they haven't, it will just be a standard ad because they don't know what Magfest is, and that's had a great impact on click-through rate. The other one is promotion extensions, which are new from Google. They're in beta at the moment, but the initial data is really positive, and they've improved click-through rate as well, and that allows you to flag it up when you've got an offer running. And then shopping, which is often forgotten about, and it's often sort of talked down, but on magazine.co.uk, that actually accounts for 15% of our conversions, so it's well worth being involved in. Search is huge, but it's not the only thing. Display remarketing on Pocket Mags accounts for 37% of conversions, and 15%, or well, a third of that total comes from smart lists, so where Google use machine learning to refine the list to target people when they're most likely to buy, which is a real positive. A couple of years ago, we'd never have thought that paid social would be performing the way it does. So 2013, 14 and 15, we had very flat spend and conversions. But in 2016, we were 9 times higher, and that continues to grow, and it's great to add that in. And at the moment, because Pocket Mags and Magazine are so broad, it's quite hard to get conversions on paid social, but on the digital marketing campaigns we run for clients, that's a huge part of the portfolio. And also the learning from this year has been getting app installs affordably and getting new users in from the app store. So we've been doing tests with universal app campaigns and Apple search ads, which I'd highly recommend as well, because it's not a very competitive landscape at the moment. All of the activity that we do on PPC, social and email is underpinned by the marketing calendar that the guys put together. And in terms of our omni-channel message, our omni-channel approach, which Matt's going to talk about, it's essential that everyone is using the same messaging and for relevancy and for click-throughs. And so whilst we really focus on all the major events like Christmas and Black Friday, which are inevitable, it's really important to us that we're making the most of the quieter periods, because we're such a seasonal business. Christmas is so big that we really have to be ensuring that sales are coming throughout the year. So we'll create custom promotions such as Magfest, which we ran this summer, and Summer of Sport last year, but also working closely with publishers on more niche events, so National Gardening Week, Gay Pride events, and Music Day, all to ensure that there's a constant flow of subscriptions. And all the hard work that's done to get people to the site, I just wanted to give you a bit of insight into what we're doing to improve our websites and products. We have a dedicated SEO team, and we work closely with the agency on this to ensure that we're always appearing for relevant searches organically, because it's not sustainable to just pay for everything constantly. So that work's really paid off. Pocket Mags is now the largest digital magazine site in the UK, according to Search Metrics, which from a pretty low base is a hugely satisfying thing to be able to report. We work with the UX guys in the agency to understand the users and make sure that the experience is as simple as possible. And then the CRO team help us to ensure that all the traffic's converting as well as possible. So on the right are some wireframes of some tests we're shortly going to run on Pocket Mags to improve the conversion rate. And as Carola touched upon earlier, our big focus moving forward has to be on mobile. So mobile was always the platform that people researched on but didn't really transact. But increasingly it's used for everything now. And so it's absolutely essential that we are making the experience simple and quick on mobile. And so we're doing that on both Pocket Mags and Magazine, but also we're revamping our mobile UX on the mobile apps to make sure that they're easy to navigate and more importantly shareable, so that we can get some free organic reach. And everything we do in terms of the product is designed to improve our customer experience, because if we have happy customers, it's going to lead to more revenue, whether that's from them coming back to the site or whether that is in an era of customer advocacy, reassuring new visitors to the site. So on Pocket Mags we use Google customer reviews, and on Magazine we use FIFO. And both of them display publicly on the site to reassure people that whilst we're a reseller, we're genuine and we're trustworthy. Google customer reviews is absolutely free, and if you have an e-commerce site, I would highly recommend implementing it. It will appear in your search engine listing, and it can also appear on the site. All the reviews that we gather from Google customer reviews, from FIFO, from the app stores, and any other touch points that we have, we're constantly monitoring it, and where possible, we're replying to them. So now on the apps, you can actually reply to negative reviews. So we'll always try to do that, so we're managing our reputation. But it's also great because it can feed back into the roadmap. So if we're seeing consistent problems, that can all go back in and be fixed more quickly than it could previously. And that's exactly the same with our help emails. So we have a 24/7 help desk. We'll try to respond to Pocket Mags queries within an hour, because the digital audience is quite different. It needs to be very responsive, because the likelihood is if they're emailing it doesn't work, whereas with the print magazines it's more like a day or two. But anything that comes through on email as well will feed back into the roadmap. And then for everything that customers don't tell us about, but is behavioural or apps crashing, for example, we've got Firebase built into the apps, and we use that to track bugs and fixes and performance. And then the final point is, in the same way that without customers we wouldn't have these businesses, without clients we'd be exactly the same. So from our point of view as a company, it's essential that you guys are happy, that we understand your goals, and also that we're sharing best practices across the group. So we do roundtables and breakfast briefings and digital publishing audits to share those tips. And Claire is now going to join me, wherever she is, to talk through some of those more tactical approaches.
Thank you. I'm going to buck the trend and stand over here. So thanks a lot, Paddy. So the team here are going to continue to work really hard to help to maximise sales, but there are some key things which you, the publishers, can do, and I'm going to go through some of the tips now. Now, one of the biggest customer frustrations is the time it takes for the first print issue to arrive. Now, it's a very old-fashioned process in an instant world, and it's the way the publishing industry works, it's the way the print runs are, and it's the way it's always worked, but it still is a very big frustration. So one solution that we've come up with is, if your title is on Pocket Mags, then we're able to offer customers the latest digital issue for them to read as soon as they've subscribed on magazine.co.uk. It's early days at the moment, but early results are really positive in that we've got over 200 titles using this feature, and the click-through rate has increased for these titles by almost a third, because as you can see, the ads really stand out on the landscape. Most importantly, the conversion rate has increased as well for these titles, and also, it's providing a level of engagement, because over 50% of customers who get the opportunity to read the digital issue actually then go on to read it. So as well as an incentive to subscribe, it also provides a much better brand experience for the customers, because they're not having to wait for that first print issue. The last point is that it provides a great opportunity for you as publishers, because you'll then be able to upsell to those customers who've read that digital issue. So you could send them a message saying, have you seen the digital? How about you upgrade from a print to a bundle? So we end up going from this to this. Now, I'm not sure what this guy's reading. Maybe, I don't know, goats, sheep and alpacas or something. So another benefit of being on Pocket Mags and magazine.co.uk is that we're able to offer both the print and the digital offers across both sites, as you can see here. So not only does that reduce the bounce rate of customers who say want the print when they land on digital, when they land on Pocket Mags, and vice versa on magazine.co.uk, but it also increases the conversion rate across both sites, which means ultimately more sales for you. Since we've launched this, we've had over 2,000 cross-site subscriptions, and what that means is that 83% of those are from first-time visitors to that opposite site. Also, what we're finding is that there has been some confusion with people who end up buying digital when they really wanted print. So the fact that we're able to offer on both sites means that it's a better customer experience altogether. Now, once a customer's actually decided that they want to buy your magazine and they're already in the buy-in cycle, why not try and upsell something else? I think somebody spoke about it earlier on, a similar related product that they can easily add to their basket at the same time. So on magazine.co.uk, we're able to offer this functionality where publishers can offer an extra product And you can see this example here, this publisher's actually offering a bookazine. In fact, you can just about see it. They're offering bookazines which actually relate to that particular title. Now, but it could be anything. It could be any kind of merchandise. It could be books. It could be DVDs. And we can offer it specifically for your title. It runs on a CPA model, so we'd recommend a slightly higher value product, so products of over $9.99 or over. But what we are finding is that customers who have that opportunity, 10% of them actually do go on to buy that extra product, which is really positive and extra revenue for you. Now, making the most out of seasonal events, it sounds really obvious, but I'm just going to talk through a few here. So we're going to talk about Black Friday. It used to be just one day, but these days it's turned into a whole 2 weeks plus event. And as you can see here, this infographic that we got from Google said that online customers spent 1.2 billion last year. So it's not just a one-day event anymore, and it's actually a full 2 week period. What people want on Black Friday is they want online deals. 2/3 of people on Black Friday or Black Friday fortnight bought something online. Now, what's different to Christmas is that people are actually looking for deals for themselves. Again, it sounds obvious, but this provides a really big opportunity for digital subscriptions. But obviously it's also popular for gift buying, with it being so close to Christmas. And I'm not this organised, but last year nearly 50% of people had actually completely done their Christmas shopping by Black Friday. Also, this supports the fact that Black Friday is now a fortnight at least, and that traffic also increased by 155% when compared to a normal shopping day on Cyber Monday as well. Now, this is an interesting trend graph here for pocket mags. Now, this is the last quarter of last year, and you can see here this spike for Black Friday. I mean, it's absolutely enormous. But what's also interesting is that you can see here an uplift, clearly uplift on the week either side of it. So it really does support the fact that it's a 2 week event, and also people are looking for stuff for themselves and not just gifts. So really think about what you're offering on pocket mags this coming Black Friday. Now let's talk about Christmas. So Christmas last year in November and December, 25 billion was spent online, which was an increase of 16% year on year. 40% of people actually researched gifts by Halloween. So they might not necessarily be buying at that point, but they're definitely having a look at what's out there. And again, this is a graphic provided to us by Google, and you can clearly see an increase from the end of October onwards. And let's not forget that on magazine.co.uk, 55% of our subscriptions are gifts. But that goes up to 83% in December. And so based on all of that, we'd recommend you get your Christmas gifts on early, and you push some kind of early bird sales messaging if you can from early October, and try and make your offers as distinctive from standard offers as you can. Now, this magazine.co.uk trend graph, which is completely different to the pocket mags graph that you saw earlier on, really does demonstrate the different types of customers that we've got on both sites. So you can see here, these are our peaks. I mean, they're pretty obvious anyway, but these two are Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and the last two are the last Thursday and the last Sunday before Christmas, and then there's a random one in the middle where we did a huge marketing push. But what is clear to see is that there is an increase again from the end of October, so it really does support the fact that people are looking early. Now, Google are predicting that in Q4 2017, and I think Carol and Paddy touched on this earlier, 60% of searches are going to be from mobiles. Mobile is the majority now. On Christmas Day last year, 2/3 of purchases were on a phone. So that means that this year, Christmas Day is really likely to be the biggest shopping day of the year. I don't know whether this looks like your house, nobody talking to each other on Christmas Day. But what people are going to be doing, they're going to be on their phones after they've had their Christmas lunch or whilst the Queen's speech is on, for example. So we really do have a captive audience on Christmas Day. Now, whilst Black Friday has overtaken Boxing Day in many respects, we really shouldn't forget about Boxing Day, because Boxing Day sales actually really still soared last year by 15%. Now, if you remember the Pocket Mags trend graph that we saw earlier on, sales did increase on Boxing Day, so it is important not to forget that. People are getting their new devices on Christmas Day, so they're all on them and they want to buy new stuff. So we recommend adding these post-Christmas special offers to try and continue the momentum seen from Black Friday and Christmas. And it would be great if you could share content or competitions with us, which we can promote on site, on email or via social media. And this here is an example of something that we ran last year for Doctor Who magazine that we pushed out on Christmas Day, promoting the Christmas issue of the magazine at exactly the same time that Doctor Who was on the telly. So these can be automated at any time that you want. So just let us know and we can get something up for you. Now, it's also important not to forget about quieter periods. And some publishers have seen some really great results in the quiet times, offering limited time special offers. So Publisher A offered a limited time offer in May this year, and Publisher B offered a limited time offer in August. And we were able to push these offers out on site, on social, and through our ad copy. And as you can see, this really does stand out in the landscape because it's a really time sensitive offer and it's telling people that there's only a few days left for them to take advantage of it. As you can see, some of the differences on year are absolutely huge, and publishers have seen some really great results from it, and they've also managed to reach out to brand new customers and also re-engage existing customers. So it's also important to be clever with your offer pricing. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but remember that on magazine.co.uk and Pocket Mags, a lot of the time people are browsing and it's completely different to the people who end up on your sites because they don't actually know what to buy yet, so they're comparing. There's a lot of different products out there, and you can see here this generic search that I did for frying pans on Amazon. I've just got a new kitchen. So I was looking for frying pans, and you can see it's just there's stuff everywhere. So it's really important that you think about how your title looks against other titles in the same genre when they're appearing on a category page on magazine.co.uk or Pocket Mag. So have a think about that and make sure that your offer stands out. So you might consider lowering the price point, even though, understandably, you don't want to change the overall fundamental pricing, but you might want to offer a trial, for example, or a free gift. But also think about that sometimes too much choice can actually be a bad thing. People who have a lot of different options often get confused or stressed out, and they don't end up buying anything at all. So we would recommend that you limit the number of offers to either a trial, a 1 year, a gift, and then a digital or a bundle as well. So make it as concise as you possibly can. Now, there are some key things that we can do purely relating to Pocket Mags, which I'm going to go through now. And one of these are hidden landing pages. Now, these hidden landing pages, they remove the noise of the rest of the site. And what they're used for is for publishers to tailor your message and your offer to different audiences, like lapsed subscribers. So you can see here these two from British Railway Modelling, they've got completely different offers because they're targeting completely different groups of people. They're fully trackable in the Magazine Cloner client portal and also through analytics if you want some extra analysis. They're really easy to create. They're using a simple template. You can have as many as you want, and they're completely free to do. Publishers have seen a really great response from using these, and some publisher, in fact, one publisher has seen has managed to generate more revenue through one landing page push than they did through Apple for a whole year. So it's definitely worth considering. Another thing is actually considering upselling to existing customers. So for example here, asking customers to complete their collection. Somebody's bought a single issue and you're asking them if they want to buy the entire back catalogue for a certain amount. And that really does help to book the single issue sales trend because it's a really high value conversion. it's important to get the offer price right, and we're seeing that it seems to be around £40, but it is converting really well, so it's definitely worth considering. Also, back issue sales. Now, this has been a real success story of 2017. Now, publishers who offer their back catalogue for 99p an issue, it helps to find new audience, obviously, but it really does help to re-engage existing audiences. So we ran this in August, and we saw a 273% uplift on pocket mags year on year. And some publishers saw the same revenue during this weekend as they saw on Black Friday last year. So it's not just about single issues, obviously we want the subscriptions in, but what's interesting here is we also saw a 74% uplift in subscriptions from customers who bought a single issue, and also 40% of these customers were brand new, so they're brand new audience. And on average, people didn't just end up buying one issue, they ended up buying on average 4, which is great. We've spoken about this a little bit already, but engagement through content is really important. So you as publishers have got a huge amount of content, and we would like to use it if we can to help sell your magazines. So if you were to upload your content onto Discover on Pocket Mags, we can then use this within PPC, social and emails, and coordinate it with special issues or events or particular seasons in the year or whatever it is, and we can push it out. Now, this is an example here for Italia magazine, and they uploaded some content around Venice. 48 hours in Venice sounds lovely. And then we managed to get hold of this and actually push it across lots of different social channels. And you can see here a tweet that we put out. So it really helps to drive engagement, get your brand, engage with your current customers, but also reach new ones. Now, obviously, you as publishers are trying to, a clear focus is non-App Store conversions. I completely get that, but it's not, it's no reason just to completely forget about your apps altogether, because there still really is a big opportunity for you to increase your visibility. So just do some basic housekeeping. It really doesn't take very long. And the key ways that we would suggest to increase your visibility are to look at your keywords and your description. So your keywords are keywords which are going to help customers find your app. And some of these haven't been updated for years. You'd be surprised. And make sure the description's really relevant. Make sure if anything's changed that you're really trying to sell it, because that is the first touch point that a customer has with your app. Make sure that you're keeping up to date with any App Store optimization updates. For example, this new tagline in iOS 11. And as Paddy spoke about just a second ago, make sure you're replying to your customer reviews, because they're visible to everybody. So we have somebody internally here, and we look at our App Store reviews and try and resolve them. But it's in your interest to make sure that these are as good as possible, because they then help to increase your download rate. And lastly, screenshots. So it's your chance to actually sell what's in the magazine. What's on the app. So make sure that you're selling the fact that if you've got a mobile edition, or if you've got an entire archive that you've built up, whatever it is that's your USP, make sure you're putting it in your screenshot. And then once somebody's actually gone to the trouble of downloading it, actually then it's really important that we try and get somebody to buy something. So revisit your app welcome series. And really showcase your title. So put in your best offer, put in your why your magazine is so great, because all of that stuff will really help to decrease your app uninstall rate and increase your revenue. Again, promoting your latest issue. So don't underestimate how powerful these push notifications are. 59% of people who get a push notification then go on to open the app. Now, older audiences, i.e. digital readers, are more likely to opt in to receive push notifications than anybody else. So you might as well use your marketing expertise to create enticing pushes to get people to actually open the app. Get issue descriptions from editorial if you can. What's in the latest issue? Make sure that you're describing it and trying to sell it. You'd be surprised how many times we get something uploaded with either September issue or description to be added, as you can see, just about see on this left one here. Whereas if you're selling what's in the magazine, like this one, then it has a much higher engagement and increases revenue. So key takeaways then, get yourself on both Pocket Mags and magazine.co.uk. Use your content to engage with potential customers. Cross-sell and upsell, whatever you like, products, back issues, print to bundle, whatever it is, once you've got a customer. And then make the most out of seasonal events, but don't forget about those quieter periods. And lastly, do a health check on your apps every now and then. It really does make a huge difference. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm conscious that we are late for our coffee break. So Paddy and I will be really happy to answer any questions. We'll be out there. So if you've got any questions or you'd like to talk to us about any of this, please do give one of us a shout. Thanks a lot.